Hello guys, it's Kasim. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. So I wanted to talk a little bit about prenups. I wanted to ask and talk about the question, should you get a prenup before you get married? I hope something that I say today is going to be useful for you guys. I hope it triggers you or it gets you to think about this in your own life. Maybe you've never even considered a prenup or even a postnup for that matter. You don't even know what a postnup is. You don't know how a prenup works. So maybe this gets you to think about it. And I hope it adds some value to the quality of your life. But before we get into what I'm going to talk about today, guys, if you want to help support get me to 1,000 subscribers by June, please can you like and subscribe to my channel and help me get to those 1,000 subscribers. You know me, guys. I believe in having goals. I believe in aiming high. So that's why I'm asking you. But that's only obviously if you genuinely want to support me and you genuinely find what I'm going to say today useful. Don't obviously do it just for the sake of doing it. Do it if genuinely you find it useful. Okay, cool. Anyways, so let's get into the video. Let's get into, should you get a prenup before you get married? So in 99% of the, no, 99 is too much. In 90% of the cases, I would say that no, the average person does not need a prenup. So, because you don't need it, right? But there are some times when I do believe that you do need a prenup. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about those times when you need a prenup. So the first time when I think that you need a prenup is when there's a huge disparity in income. What does that mean? If you've got somebody who is earning 20k and somebody who's earning £120,000, you need a prenup. If you've got somebody who is earning 120,000 and somebody who is earning 5 million a year, you need a prenup. If you have somebody who is earning 50k a year and somebody who is earning 100 million a year, you need a prenup. Anytime there is a disparity in income, then there has to be a prenup drawn up. Or I would recommend that you have a prenup drawn up. Let me explain to you why I say this. I say this because when you get divorced in virtually every country, Western country, when you get divorced, you as a man, because 9 times out of 10, when you get divorced, it's the main breadwinner is a man. Okay, there are of course some times when it's a woman, but most of you who are going to listen to this anyway are going to be men. So 9 times out of 10, the person who is a breadwinner, who earns the huge disparity, the huge amount of money, is usually the man. In most Western countries, if you get divorced, the judge is going to ask that you maintain the lifestyle that the person was living up to. Because when you get married, there is no, it's her money and it's my money, it's your money, okay? And actually, in America particularly, do you know how it happens in a lot of American states? In America, a lot of the time, you have to pay for the wife's solicitors and you have to pay for your solicitors. Now, you may think that you're paying for her solicitors, but that's not how the court sees it. The court sees it is that even though you're making more money, you may be earning 50 million a year, it isn't your money, it's both your money. It's half and half. So you're actually using her half of the money to pay for your solicitors, and then you're using your half of the money to pay for your solicitors. Do you understand what I'm saying by this? Right? And so you have to understand that if you do not get a prenup and you get divorced, you are going to be paying to maintain her lifestyle. So you have to be really, 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 really careful. Now, this changes when kids get involved, but I'm not going to get into that because that's way more complicated. But essentially, prenups almost become irrelevant when there are kids involved because the judge is looking out for the best interest of the kids, not you two. So even if you've drawn up a prenup, if it is not in the best interest of the children, and let's say you agreed that you were only gonna pay her £1,000 a year, a month, right? And that's what you agreed that you were gonna pay her when you get divorced. Now that you have a kid, and she's been living a lifestyle which, let's say, would equate to 200 grand a year, the judge is going to be asking you to maintain the 200 grand a year lifestyle that the child is accustomed to, because otherwise it's too much of a change. You have to remember that when it comes to family, well, you don't know, most of you won't know this, but when it comes to family law, all courts virtually across the globe are looking to maintain stability. It is the first thing. Family courts don't like fluctuations. They don't want a kid living in a mansion and then living in a one-bedroom flat. They don't want a kid living in a one-bedroom flat then living in a mansion. They don't want it. It's too much change. They want stability. So clearly, if that child has been used to go into a private school and you decide you don't want to pay for private schools, sorry, because you're splitting up, it doesn't work like that. The judge will demand and get you to continue paying for the private school. So you have to note that. 2, if you've been dating the woman for less than 3 years, if you have been let me explain something to you. I have something that I call inconvenient truths. These are things that I have learned in my life that I don't really want to hear. They're inconvenient. I learn them, but I don't want to know them. One of the things that I have learned is that women are more malicious and more strategic than men are. Most women, let me tell you how I learned this. How I learned this is that when I was studying divorce, I learned that most women, before they get divorced, have pretty much, basically, in most of the cases, 70 to 80% of all cases in Western countries is filed for by the woman. Okay? Now, you would think that the woman is just been unhappy and she decides to go and file for divorce. No, it doesn't work like that. Women usually have had a man lined up who's going to replace you. They've looked at what their rights are. They've already spoken to a solicitor. They've already looked at housing prices. They've usually already saved money from your income for months to get ready for this new change. Women do not just get divorced out of nowhere. They've pretty much planned all of it out before they come to you and start asking for divorce. Now, one of the things that many men get blindsided by, and in fact, this is a word that I constantly hear from men who have got divorced, is, man, it came out of nowhere. I was blindsided by her coming asking for a divorce, right? So you have to understand that one of the things that women are very good at is that they're very good at manipulation. They're very, very, very good at getting you to see what you want to hear. Or see what you want to see. Now, let's go back to my point. You have to be dating her. Ideally, you should get a prenup if you've been dating her for less than 3 years. Women can pretend to be a certain way for a long time. Just like us men, we will tell women whatever we need to tell them in order to get laid. Women will play the role for a long time. But it's a long time to pretend and to lie for 3 years. So if there is clearly a huge disparity in, like, basically what I'm trying to say to you is, if there's a huge disparity in your lifestyles, in your income, you really should not be getting married to a woman anywhere near under 3 years, because I'm telling you, you're just setting yourself up to fail. This is a massive red flag. Anytime that anyone in a relationship wants to get married very, very quickly, my alarm bells start going off, because it's like, why? Like, marriage is such a big thing, so why would you want to go into it when you only know the person for 6 months, for a year? There is no way that you can know somebody after a year. There's no way you would have spoken to their family, seen their habits, observed their belief system and what their patterns, seen them when they're bad, seen them when they're angry. I mean, if you marry them under a year, you haven't even gone through the seasons of the year yet. It's insane. So this is why I say, if you've been dating her for less than 3 years, you should get a prenup. What else? Here's something else that I would also add. Look, obviously I talk about prenups, but this is what I basically wrote down. I wrote down that over time, let the prenup erode. So I believe that if obviously clearly you've got with a woman, you've been together for 7, 8 years, you've got kids together, you've both got properties in your name, you know her family, you've gone through a miscarriage, you've lost your job and she's been there supporting you. Look, over time, the prenup can begin to erode, right? Why? Because it's out of respect for your missus. It's just out of respect for the time that you've been together, because it's irrelevant anymore. And anyway, if you've been, I can tell you now that any court you go to, if you've been married with somebody or you've been together with somebody for like 15, 20 years, irrelevant of your prenup, the court is just going to basically disregard it, because you've been together for so long that she is eligible for everything that half of what you've got or more, because she's been with you, you've been through stuff, right? Because if you've been with somebody for 10 years, for 15 years, you've both been ups, downs, through deaths in families, bereavements, you've gone through times of depression, you've been through highs, like you've been through so much stuff that you haven't been carrying the relationship alone. You've been together in a partnership. Therefore, it should be 50-50. So that's something that you may want to bring up to your partner. The contract erode after year 5, after year 3, after year 10, after year 20, whatever it may be for you. But obviously, it's your life. You've got to decide that in your relationship. What else? One of the things that you should know is that most of the issues will come from people around you. So part of the reason why you have prenups isn't actually for you. Part of the reason why you have prenups is because of the people around you. Okay? Money makes people go crazy, makes people go mental, particularly people around you. You know, I always say to people that when you win the lottery, one of the biggest issues that a lot of people have isn't themselves, it's the people around them. Because people around them will start coming to them and saying, please, can you help me with this? Well, I've done this for you. Why can't you support me? And the issue is, you've got the money. They know you've got the money. Okay? So how can you say to somebody who genuinely is struggling that you're not going to help them with money when you know and they know that you have the money? It's really difficult to say no. So part of having a prenup, part of putting money in trusts, in trust funds, in accounts where they can't be accessed, is it gives you protection. It gives you protection because you can say, well, the money's in trust, man. I can't access the money for 15 years, right? It gives you boundaries. It also helps your missus, because your missus may have family members who are manipulating her, who are telling her and turning her against you. But then she then has something that easily she can fall back on and say, I can't access the money. Neither of us can access the money. The money is in a separate account. The money, we have to go through banks and we have to sign this off and we have to speak to the accountant and we have to go to the bank manager. It is really difficult for us to get the money out. Or the money can't be released until a year after we've asked for it. Do you understand? You can, for example, in a prenup say that any amount over £10,000 cannot be released from your bank account unless it's after 6 months, it's after a year, it's after 2 years, whatever it may be, because it gives you loads of good protection. It gives you boundaries for yourselves where you can say this kind of stuff. But if the money is in your bank account and you know you can have it, it's very difficult to say to people that you don't have it. It's very difficult to say to people that you can't help them, right? People will then get into a situation where they start robbing you, where they come into your house. Like, I can't tell you the amount of stories I've heard about people who've gone and had hoodies, or they've broken into their family's house to steal stuff, and then they found out later on that it was a family member, and they said to them, why did you do that? And they're like, because we knew you had jewelry in the house and we knew you'd be able to replace it anyway it's nothing to you. So that's one of the other reasons. It protects you. When you have a prenup, it protects you against stuff. The last thing that I would say is, if you have built the wealth before she came, you need a prenup. What does that mean? That means if you started a business and then the woman came and the business is profitable and doing amazing, then the woman comes along, you need to have a prenup. And part of the reason why I say this is you have to remember The woman 9 times out of 10 is going to take at least 50% of everything that you have. And so a lot of the time, if you've come from the bottom in particular, then you're going to have people who are relying on you. You may be paying for your mum's mortgage, for people's cars, you may have employees. If your missus takes 50% of everything that you have, and you have employees and you have sponsorships, you may be sponsoring a local college or kids to go to university or whatever it may be, and she takes half of everything you got or more, then you can't maintain those obligations. So you have to be wary that if you've made anything before your missus comes, you need to have a prenup to protect you, protect those things that you've built, right? And it also protects you in terms of entitlement. By the way, one of the other things that I should mention, which I mentioned earlier on, but I didn't really touch on very much, is about a post-prenup. Sometimes, if you get with your partner and all of a sudden you do want to set up boundaries for yourselves, you can have a post-prenup, a postnup. So meaning, like, look, if you're having loads of family members and difficulties around boundaries, why don't you go to the solicitors and set up a postnup which protects both of you, where both of you can say, no, we can't access the money, no, we don't have, no, the money is in trust for our kids. You can also do that. Or if you get married and actually you both are like, you know what, we want to leave this much to our kids or this much to our parents, or in case one of us dies, we want to ensure that we leave this house to my sister, or whatever it may be. You want to set that stuff up in a postnup, because if your partner dies and she inherits, or he or she inherits everything, can you imagine a man dying and the woman inherits everything? The woman is going to be so vulnerable, right? She's got a lot of money and she's going to be in a very vulnerable place, and she can be easily manipulated, easily used by people. So you need to ensure that you set stuff up so that you can protect your missus in the event that something ever, God forbid, ever happens. So that's what I wanted to talk about in this. I hope it's giving you something to think about, something to maybe go and do your own research on, something to go and examine and look out for yourself. Yeah, that's it. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Help me get to 1,000 subscribers by June. That's it. I'll speak to you soon, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Thanks. Bye.